So, welcome to DrupalCamp Nordics. And this session is about, it's called Simple E-Commerce Solution using Drupal 8 and Shopify. I work in Wunder, Germany. So here in Finland, it's the main headquarters of Wunder. In Germany, we have a much smaller operation. And it's always nice to come back to the headquarters. And here in Finland, but also in every other country, including the UK, we are hiring. So if anybody wants to join us, feel free. We won the best place to work in Finland last year. We won 5th place in this competition. And talking about e-commerce in Drupal. So for those that have been to too many Drupal camps, it all started with something called Ubercart. Ubercart was the solution for Drupal 5, Drupal 6. At some point, the people that were doing Ubercart decided, well, we're not keeping the whole infrastructure. We're going to do a backward compatibility break. We're going to move to something called DrupalCommerce, and they started implementing it in Drupal 7. The core team of Ubercart actually moved all to DrupalCommerce. Weirdly enough, while preparing this presentation, I discovered that there's actually someone still maintaining Ubercart in Drupal 7 and 8. I honestly, my kudos to that guy, whoever he is, because I cannot understand how someone would do that. DrupalCommerce is the de facto solution for Drupal 7 and Drupal 8. If you are seriously going to do a DrupalCommerce solution, think about that. However, there's all this talk about what happens with this Acquia and Magento partnership. It was announced back in November, and I think there's been very little practical results. But at the time, the big question on everyone's mind was, well, if Acquia is going to start pushing to clients Magento as the solution, does that mean that DrupalCommerce is dead? Actually, the community, in the meantime, has rallied around DrupalCommerce. There's been a lot more development in that area, but still, the fact that the major company in Drupal is sponsoring a competitor to DrupalCommerce does present some obstacles to DrupalCommerce. And well, in the meantime, this is sort of what Gartner thinks. You can't see that. What Gartner thinks are the solutions for digital commerce in the entire web. So you can see that maybe it was a good solution for Acquia to partner with Magento, because it's actually in the right quadrant, whereas Shopify, the one that we're talking about today, is here in the quadrant of, I can't remember what it was there, but not very visionary and a niche player. But this is what Gartner says. In the real world, and this is, if you go to buildsuite.com and see the trends, the top 5 solutions for e-commerce that exists out there on the web nowadays. This is not easy because, unfortunately, these guys didn't sort the pie chart, but you've got Magento with 12%, and then Magento Enterprise with 7% there. And then you've got Oracle Commerce with 12%. And WooCommerce, that I had no idea about because I'm a DrupalCamp. I have no idea what WordPress stuff is. And I had to go and look at it. And it's apparently some kind of the best e-commerce solution for WordPress. And then there's Shopify there it is with 7%. And then there's like Demandware, which is this yellow one here. which has been acquired by Salesforce. I don't know what that means. And you've got tiny DrupalCommerce actually showing up there with 1%. So, yeah, I mean, this Oracle Commerce, for instance, I was just talking yesterday with some people that are that I say, hey, Oracle still is a dominant player. Yes, but they don't play well with open source. Magento, we talked about the Acquia partnership. If you're doing WordPress, then WooCommerce is probably your thing. And Shopify is something that you can actually use with Drupal, as demonstrated by our work. So what was our work? We were hired by a big company that's dealing with health clubs in Germany, actually worldwide, but we worked for the German branch. They are so big that I asked them 2 weeks ago if I could use their name, and I still haven't gotten any reply, so that's it. And we did a Drupal 8 site for them to do the club information, class information, and the lead generation. So there's like forms for promotions and whatever. And this was built, we built it on Drupal 8, and they wanted a simple and cost-effective solution with the same technology that they know from the Drupal 8 site, but to be able to sell training for trainers. So they have this, they're quite big. They have a guy that does training internally. And that guy, when he does the courses, he has a few vacancies available in his classes where some people from the outside could be paying and be attending the classes. And they want to turn this into a business model also. So they decided we'll provide this training and we'll open a website and we will sell this training. It's not cheap, but that doesn't truly matter because usually it's other fitness clubs paying for it. So we looked at doing it as fast as possible. It was supposed to be a very small project, like 2 or 3 weeks. We looked at the alternatives, and for what we wanted, Shopify seemed to be a pretty good alternative. We wouldn't have to care about anything other than putting a Drupal site and integrating it into the editorial flow. So Shopify is the typical software as a service. You pay into buying a shop, and they kind of manage everything for you. The hard part of user registration, credit cards, payments, all the different kind of payment processors that they accept. Doing invoices, so generating an invoice, sending that invoice to you by email, calculating sales taxes, because if you're selling here in Finland, there's a certain VAT rate. If you're selling in Germany, there's another one. It's even worse in the US, where actually it depends in even more states. And if you want to do discount coupons for promotions, which this company does a lot, it also manages those for you. So it's integrated in the system. You specify there's this discount, and this, if at checkout you provide this code, you get, I don't know how many euros. However, it does cost money. For the basic option is like $29. The really expensive one is $299. And then there's like per sale also a commission that they charge. There is a version of Shopify called Shopify Plus that doesn't have these transactions, but it's expensive as a lot. But it does abstract you from the problem of having fixed fees per transaction, and it also would allow you to do stuff like selling from your own domain, which is one of the problems with Shopify. At one point, your clients are realizing, oh, I left their domain. I'm now in Shopify.com doing something. And for some stores, that might actually be something like IKEA. If you went to IKEA, bought several stuff, and then pressed checkout, and then suddenly you're at ikea.shopify.com, some people might like, well, what happened here? Amateurs or whatever. So there's a module for that. That's our motto within Drupal. So there's actually two modules that you need. There is one that's called Shopify API. It does basically nothing other than provide you with an API to connect to Shopify. And the one thing that's important, and you need to install this one and configure it, is it also handles the API keys in your connection. And once you've got that installed and enabled, then you can enable the real Shopify one, and that's the one that does the integration. And by integration, it means it provides you with a cart, so that you can do the checkout. It provides you with forms within the products that say, I want to buy X quantity of this product. It provides you with the synchronization mechanism, so that stuff comes from Shopify into Drupal. And the stuff that comes from Shopify into Drupal, well, this is a simplified data model. So you have collections, which are groups of products, sort of like this is, like for instance, like a t-shirt shop. These are t-shirts for men, these are t-shirts for women, these are t-shirts for kids. These are t-shirts for winter or t-shirts for summer or whatever. And then there's the special Helsinki edition, which is a crazy summer when it snows. You have normal products, you have product variants. So in our case, they sell training in two ways. One is you get the manual as an ebook, and the other is you get a actual printed manual. And we handle that as a variant. You can also handle inventory there, and the price, and there's also description, which I forgot to add here, and an image that you can add to the product. How does this module work? So it synchronizes the products and collections from Shopify to Drupal. There's two ways you can do that. There's a cron mechanism that will periodically call Shopify. And then there's the webhooks, which are, whenever you change something in Shopify, it pushes to your site and those changes. For this to work, for the webhooks to work, you need your site API to be accessible from Shopify. So it needs to be on the internet. There's always the pros and cons. Pros is whatever changes you do in Shopify get immediately reflected in your Drupal site. The cons, of course, are even though there's authentication and everything else, that API is actually open on the internet. So you cannot close it and say this should not be accessible from anyone. Oops, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. The great, amazing thing that I really enjoyed was, at least in the beginning, was the Drupal endpoints are entities. So it creates product entities, and Shopify product entities, and Shopify product variant entities. And these are, of course, fieldable. You can change how to display them. There you've got the access to the whole Drupal ecosystem. And collections are actually just implemented as taxonomies, because that's what they are. And it's the best mapping between the idea that, as was in the previous slide, that a collection is a group of products. And implementing it as a taxonomy is the way you do that in Drupal, of course. However, because for the client wanted to have a checkout title in the cart, that was different than the page title that was being shown to users. And because this is provided in, the way it works is, this must be the Shopify entity that you entered in Shopify. And this is the Drupal one, which, because it was being synchronized, we couldn't actually have them different. So what we did was we did this custom product entity, and we embedded the Shopify entity as a block within our entity, within our content type. And the good thing about that is, before that, we were telling the user, hey, the product description, product images, they must all be placed in Shopify. And Shopify has a nice GUI HTML thing where you can add some images. I'll show it later. But you're restricted by what you can do there. Responsive? Yeah, well, if you can do HTML that is responsive, you will have access to that. And by doing this separation, we actually said, okay, stop editing stuff in Shopify. Just put the title there and the price, because Shopify needs that. But the complete description, all the images you want to put in the nice page that we're going to show about the product, we moved that into our content type, and the editor UI became a paragraph, well, similar to paragraph system. Yeah, and we actually ended up, because we wanted to do our own stuff, instead of using the default view, we ended up doing a custom view. It was also because in the end, this one is a view on Shopify entities, and the one we used is a view on our products. But I would say, well, it's Drupal, you have access to the entities, you can do your own custom view, and you're not restricted to whatever this is doing. And we had to alter the quantity field, because these specific products, they didn't, you don't have inventory. So having the user being able to buy 2 trainings made no sense at all. And part of the requirements is that they can only buy 1. So we did that. And it was all through Drupal hooks, because the way the module works still allows you to, the buy button is a Drupal form. It's not some embedded thing out of Shopify. So you can still access the hook forms to change that form. Okay, and now again, so there's the module for that. The Shopify edition version is the same way that we in Drupal have a lot of modules to do a lot of things. Shopify has an app store that's full of stuff. We basically ended up using, well, 2. This one we dropped after we decided we were wanting to put in meta fields. And for those that remember CCK, this is basically CCK for Shopify products. You can add your own fields, and you can put whatever you want in there. Because we abandoned this once we decided we cannot stay with the Shopify product, and we're moving to our own content type. This one is it's something very specific for the German market. Is we want, when the user is checking out, to make sure that he clicks some boxes saying, I accept that I'm going to be charged for this purchase, and I've read the conditions of the contract and the privacy policy, and I agree with them, so that my personal data will be treated, etc., etc. So all of these legalese thing, was a one-time fee for like $60, and it integrated automatically with the checkout system. Certainly, it was cheaper to pay this $60 than having someone in our team having to research how to do that. So there's thousands and thousands of apps in the store. This is a screenshot of the most popular ones, so like stuff like free email pop-ups when people want to leave the store. It wouldn't work in our site because we don't actually we are not in the store, and other stuff. Some that I find interesting are these SEO managers. Okay, yeah. However, there are quite some big disadvantages. It didn't affect us because it was a single language site in the end, but there's no multi-language support. So the place where you communicate with the user, there's all these email templates that you specify, and there's no way to say within one store, hey, this one store is speaking German to these users that register as Germans. It's speaking English to these other people that register as English, and French to these others. No, they will get the template, the email template you gave in whatever language you gave them. So yeah, you can customize your own text for your own language, but if you want to have the same store in 3 different languages, probably the solution is to buy 3 different stores, and then instead of paying the medium plan, which is like $79 per month, you're paying 3 times $79 per month, which starts to become money. Yeah, and Shopify Plus, if you want to have no transaction fees, or that the checkout is in the same domain, so that you don't have ikea.shopify.com. Yeah, you're paying more than 1,000 euros per month for that kind of plan. There's no prices announced. I just know it's more than 1,000, and you kind of talk with them, and they will give you your own personal quote, which I don't know. It's probably, if you're Apple, they will ask you for $1 million. No, what happened? Yeah, so this is more or less the setup steps for enabling the site. You can create a store. It's free for 2 weeks, so if anybody wants to go and try, just go and do that. Then you need to start with the Shopify API. It's got this one special thing if you're using a normal Drupal 8 installation where you're not using Composer. You need to actually use Composer to install this in the appropriate size library, and create those API credentials Shopify, and then configure the Shopify API. At this point, you're now able to enable Shopify. Before step 4, if you try to enable Shopify, it will complain and say requirements are not met. You need to do the above, and I will not enable the module for you. And then there's the final thing, which I hope we still have time. I think we do. Where you can download and upload a theme that changes how the store works. And because this is quite boring, I think, to talk about, hey, this is how you do it, and you don't actually see anything. My plan was to show some stuff. Too big. No. Come on. Okay, now it looks like something. So this is, let's start before that with the shop itself. So I created a shop. I used a disposable email, and so I don't want. That's why I prepared it before, and I don't want to do it now. But it's very easy. You just go into Shopify.com, and you get all the info you need. Here in apps, you need to scroll down to do this manage private apps. And here is where you get your API keys and passwords and my disposable email. And this will be valid for the next 2 weeks, so you can go in and hack the store. And let's created one product. Let's delete that and start from scratch. So we want to add a product, and let's do the same as before. T-shirt for DrupalCamp Nordics 2017. It's blue and beautiful. And are there images? T-shirt. Let's find a blue T-shirt. Now that looks like it. So save, and let's upload that image. Ta-da! And it's a pretty good T-shirt. So, and it's Finland, so it's going to cost you 30 euros. And it's amazing the prices of beer here. It's very good material, so it only weighs like 200 grams. And we're going to add a variant, so we're going to put it in small and medium. Actually, doing it wrong. Size and small, medium, and large. And we're going to have it in the different colors you can choose, which are blue and more blue. And then you can put here the prices for all of them. Save products. So I didn't enable webhooks because I'm running the store in my own local host. But if we go here now, so this is the Shopify API configuration setting, where I put in, it's got a nice help telling you what you would need to do. The only difference is private apps is not in the top right of the page. If somebody wants to send a pull request to the maintainers of the module, it's somewhere in lower center of the page, and you cut and paste your own information here. And here in Shopify store settings, we've got configurations for the cron, when you want it to run. You can synchronize collections, and you can synchronize products. I'm going to do that one to delete all the products, because I could the previous one I was playing with is not important. So it says it's synchronized one product, and now I'm going to synchronize the collections. And if we go to structure, we should now see here actually, so it has no fields, but the display will have already some fields that come from Shopify. And if you go here on top to the Shopify area, here you've got a view of your products. So we've got the T-shirt I just created. It's got the image. You can choose. I should have put different prices because you'd see these updates whenever you change the options, and you've got the options that you add. You can add stuff to the cart. So I've added. I didn't change the CSS of Bartik. So that's a block. Actually, let's move the block to somewhere more visible. Structure, block layout. So let's put it on top of content. So now we've got the cart here. The cart currently is empty. As you can see, now we are no longer in Drupal. We've moved to myshopify.com, and it's telling me my cart is empty. And if you add something to the cart, you now see here cart 1, and you can see here your cart. Now there is a part that I'm going to, on the setup, the final part, which was to download the theme and to upload it. It has to do with this. If I now click here, it doesn't take me back to the Drupal site. It continues in the web shop that Shopify created for you. And that's not what we want. When we want integration, we want people to be in our site, do the Shopify checkout, but if they click on stuff in the cart, they should come back to Drupal. And this is the part where if you go here to Shopify store settings, you've got here theme, and you can download a theme.zip. You can also upload and publish automatically, but as I said, it's one of those things that you need a public site. And online store, preferences, there's a part here where you upload the theme. So here you can do upload your own theme. There's also a theme store where you can buy different themes. There's a few free ones. You upload your theme. Let's choose that theme file that was provided by the module. And okay. And now if we go back to our site, which I'm typing the wrong. So if we go to our products, no, actually my page, and I go here, and I click here again. Something didn't refresh. Hey, Shopify, you're letting me down. Settings. So this is the normal shop, and I should be at the cart. If I do something, I should have prepared the theme part before. I'm sorry, but this, I don't know, and I don't remember what I'm doing wrong here. But this is the I know we use this and it worked quite well. Did I miss any step here? Download and upload it. Oh, maybe it's because I'm on localhost that it didn't accept it. I wonder.
It says once uploaded, you may use the Shopify theme GUI to match your
Yeah, that's what I did here. Actually, back to Shopify. So the thing that I did here when I went into online store and themes, and I uploaded the theme and changed it. It actually changed.
Theme has been. You need to click publish theme.
Yeah. The amazing thing about live demos. And yes, so now this is the theme. This is, as you can see, it changed somewhat. One of the things that I know we also did in our site is we put here the client logo. And this is now linking back. It's impossible to see in the screen, but it's linking back to localhost Shopify, which of course will not work because I'm not actually in localhost. I'm in localhost/8. But this is basically what, with the publish theme, that I was forgetting that this is basically what you need to do. And that's more or less it. That's how you would build a simple store, integrate it with your Drupal site, and be working with both a site that's built on Drupal 8 that your client can use, and that would already have e-commerce. So, any questions? Yes?
With that kind of system, would it be possible to have like different prices? So, for example, if you are a member of something and you would get a lower price, would it be possible with this system?
This would usually be through discount codes. So if you're a member, I would say you create some discount codes and you give them to your users. You can do two types of discount codes. You can do one that's basically the one that we all, whenever we go into checkout and we see this promotional thing, we do a quick web search and we try to find if there's like a 20 euro discount somewhere on the net. Or you can do one that like the one that comes on your emails. That's like a UUID that basically you use once, and supposedly if nobody ever gives it to their friends, because then they also lose the ability to use it. You could choose one of those two. If you want to restrict it only to members of an organization, a club or whatever, I would say create one per each member, and just do a mass mailing to the club membership saying, hey, this is your personal discount code. Use it if you want to, and if not, then don't give it to anyone else.
Okay, but would be like a one time, or could you use that like multiple times the same code?
I know that the one that is generic. So if you want to use it multiple times, it makes maybe less sense to make a customized one. A customized one, from what I remember, you can only use it once. Nothing prevents you from generating 2 or 3 codes per client or whatever. I would have to take a look at it. And you can possibly buy. I'm pretty sure of it. You can possibly go in the App Store. There's a lot of modules of apps for Shopify dealing with discount codes. We looked at many of those, and I'm pretty sure one of them will implement your model. Any further questions? I have free lollipops. for anyone that asks questions. So, actually, the lollipops are free. Take whatever. I think Drone Tea is giving them away. So thank you.
So, what was your primary reason then for not just using the Shopify system on its own? I mean, was it just that flexibility?
It was the fact that there's more to the site than just showing products. So it's not just a pure shop with, hey, this is a views of the products that we have, and this is one page per product. They wanted to say more stuff, like they needed at least an impression page and a data privacy page on the site. They also wanted to have some content related to the trainers and to the places where they do training, which are three cities in Germany, and in each city there's a different master trainer. And they wanted to have that so separate from their other site that we said, well, we will build you a simplified version of your main site without all the stuff that you asked to build in the other one. We'll just remove features, and we will add this functionality for products. The editors, for the editors, how they create pages is exactly the same as in the main site. So that was one of the reasons we said, okay, let's keep it in Drupal, you know this. And as to why we didn't use DrupalCommerce versus Shopify, that the main question was just doing the discovery of Drupal's modules that do the process, the payment processing for Germany, that handle this kind of AGB things where you say, I confirm that I read the data privacy laws and that I agree that I will be charged, which is always, for me, when I'm in Germany and I'm buying things, I mean, the fact that I'm pressing the checkout should already say that I am willing to be, that I know that I will pay for that. But apparently you need a different one to say, yes, even though this costs 60 euros and I'm buying it, I also understand that you will actually charge this money to me. But yeah, it's, so that all those kinds of little things, the discovery for it in Drupal would probably take a significant fraction. And by the time that we would have finished that with DrupalCommerce, and at this time it was like this, recently there was this Magento thing, and there was all this discussion, is DrupalCommerce going to stay alive? And it was very beta at the time. We just said, no, we can do this. It's a simple store. You guys don't need complicated stuff, so just do it like this. My feeling, honestly, is this is pretty good for a client that comes to you and says, hey, I want an e-commerce and I want it for next week. And you're going to start saying, yeah, we'll do it in DrupalCommerce, but it will take slightly more than a week. No, I need it for next week because we have a product launch. Okay, then I will build it in Shopify for you. You're going to lose some money from the transactions, and you're going to have to pay these guys 70, 80, 200 euros per month, plus 3% of your tax, of your sales. But it will be ready next week. And while that Shopify store is running, we will build you your DrupalCommerce site. And that will be the good one. We will do PDF exports out of your invoices. And it will be multilingual with Swedish and Finnish and Estonian and Latvian and Russian and whatever. And it will work, but that will take more than a week. So that's, I think this is one of those use cases that would make some sense. Or it's just a simple site like the one we built. You get a free lollipop.
Would you say that Shopify
I honestly haven't tried it. Accepting donations is something that I personally do in my own website. I've got one of these PayPal donate to me buttons. I think that the PayPal donate to me button makes more sense than building, because it's just a button.
Just a product with no.
Yeah. Then building a product with checkout. It's hard also because the way that Shopify is built, I haven't seen the ability for, I don't see tips in there, and I don't see the possibility for your users to specify what price they are willing to pay for a product. So you would have to say, hey, the donation is 10 euros. And if somebody wants to donate more, maybe they can click, I want to buy 100 donations of €1, which is, well, it's not, it's a barrier to you. Yeah, it's telling, I mean, you could instruct your users, hey, if you want to donate 100 euros, you're going to donate 100 quantities of €1. Some users would be able to do it. Most would be like, huh? And you've lost already some people. Especially because it's really hard to extract donations. And if people even question for a moment something, yeah, you're already losing. The donate buttons like donate on PayPal or donate on Patreon, those are platforms that are oriented towards this kind of thing. Shopify is e-commerce. It's built for simple stores, like a shop around the corner that is selling some crafts, and like somebody's knitting something, or somebody's doing dolls, or I don't know, and they don't have the skills to develop a weird store. They don't even want hosting. They can just go into Shopify, and the Shopify store will have everything for them. Yeah. Good. So if there's no further questions, I would also like to thank the sponsors for allowing us to be here. Those of you that work at one of the sponsors as well. And yeah, if you have further questions, I will be around here these 2 days, and you can make questions personally. Thank you for coming.